afternoon to those of you, at least on our side of the world. We are Two Protons in a Cloud. This is the weekly live dialogue connecting industry experts to you, our online technical community. I'm Adrienne Kraft, one of your hosts and a technical evangelist for HP Helion.
And I'm Sujay Maheshwari, your second host, and I'm a dev evangelist at HP Helion. Welcome.
Awesome. So we are kicking off today with episode 2. The goal again is to boost conversation, give genuine insight on some of the challenges you face, we face, and those experiences and announcements coming into the developer space. So today we'll take you through a couple news items and then go behind the scenes of the first ever Cloud Foundry Foundation Docs Sprint. We wanted you to be the first on the scene virtually to see what's inspiring developers in the industry and what we hope to improve in the documentation in 8 hours or less.
So Adrienne, security loopholes can help you hack for good. Did you know that? Or at least make a good story out of it.
I agree. I read in Wired.com that Joe Levy, a Microsoft program manager, has gained notice for hacks on popular apps, and a high school student actually reached out to him to help him hack Trivia Crack, altering the output so he could ask a girl to prom.
Yeah, pretty cool. So as Wired reported, the high school student noticed that this particular program was not completely server based. It had a few client components as well. So he's like, okay, I'll take advantage of this. So he came across Levy's blog eventually, and he realized that he had taken advantage of the same loophole, and he figured out, to go ahead and comment now asking for Levy's help in his, as he called it, promposal. that was pretty cool.
Awesome. So moral of this story, Generation Z has embraced the digital age and will need to get more creative with our prom proposals. So FYI, promposal was a success.
Yes.
I also realized this week that you and I were trying new and innovative ways to reach this online community, but it was kind of an eye-opener. The United Nations Broadband Commission came out with findings that 57%, that's 4 billion people, still do not use the internet regularly or actively.
Yeah. I mean, while we were doing our research, how to reach out kind of thing, I came across Reuters, who published some stats, and these are some of the stats I recall. Only 5% of the world's, approximately, there are some 7,000 languages, only 5% of 7,000 languages are represented on the internet. So that means there are only 350 languages on the internet. That's it. Another number which sticks out is 90% of the population of the world's poorest, I think some 48 countries, remain offline. They have no internet.
Sure, interesting stats, and it's just something to think about because we're kind of ingrained in this debate that allegedly Twitter will have long-form content features, and that will expand the 140 character limit. Big news for us, but staggering when you think about the number of people.
Do you want more than 140 characters? What do you think?
No, I don't have that much to say. My life is not exciting.
Okay.
So, and to leave it off, it's just interesting to see what developers are doing with their weekend. And since they're in San Francisco and felt like giving props, I want to recap the winning app from the Ignite 2015 hackathon. HP Software was there and our good friend Jen Pan. And I was following her live blog of the event. 500 developers, designers, entrepreneurs in one space. They had 48 hours to create an app. And out of 10 teams in the HP Haven On Demand Challenge, a team of colleagues from Study Pool emerged victorious with their app Resumes. So Sujay, can you sum up their app for us?
Sure, yeah. So resumes allows recruiters to upload a photo and the candidate's resume. Now, I kept thinking about what really this photo is for, but I couldn't get the answer. But apparently, with the resume, when you upload the resume, this app does an OCR, optical character recognition, so it converts, uh, uh, your resume into a digital form kind of thing. And now it does the indexing, searching, and it will spit out, the candidates which are very similar to this, and then do the pattern matching kind of thing. But I still wonder what is happening with that picture upload. So that's something we need to figure out and maybe update our audience next time.
Yeah, definitely. We'll have to reach out to the team.
Yeah.
Uh, so onwards to the bulk of episode 2. So as we mentioned, this is a special episode. Sujay and I were inside the Cloud Foundry Foundation offices for the first ever Doc Sprint. So what is a Doc Sprint, Sujay?
A docs, by the way, we really loved it yesterday there. So a doc sprint, you can think of it very much like a hackathon where a group of people get into a room with a common purpose. But here you are not really competing against each other, or you're not really looking for a prize kind of thing. Uh, so as Sam Ramji said yesterday at one of the meetup talk, a good product with a poor documentation or a great document with a poor product, they both end up with misery. So Cloud Foundry is a great platform and product, but there are gaps in the document. So a doc sprint is where we came together and we said, all right, these are the focus areas we should be looking at, and we'll collaboratively work and fix and update and upgrade the documentation. So that's what it was.
Awesome. And one of the major themes that emerged with all of us that were there from a variety of different companies was how to get started with Cloud Foundry. In your opinion, why is that such an important gap to fill with the documentation?
Right. So this the space is anyway evolving, right? I mean, describing Cloud Foundry in few words is very important. The elevator pitch has to be really crisp and hit the target kind of thing. Getting started is equally important, because when somebody, a new developer, right, looking for what PaaS is or Cloud Foundry lands there, and if you can handhold this person and take him through, let's deploy Cloud Foundry, and then let's deploy your first app, and then after that first app gets deployed, let's see where to go from here after you deployed your first app. So that first experience, if it's smooth, it's a win-win. That person will stick around and would want to continue the journey. So that's where we all thought and believed that we should fix that first experience in our first doc sprint.
Great. And I myself, I had a ton of fun meeting everyone, kind of figuring out what everybody's opinions were. And I think we had some great ideas come out of yesterday,
Oh,
and some good things for the Cloud Foundry Foundation. So hopefully Stormy Peters is pleased with the outcome.
yeah. Yeah.
And to kind of dive in a little bit more, because I know you don't want to hear from just Sujay and myself, we've invited some of our sprinters to the show just to get their perspective on what occurred during the doc sprint as well. So following is our chats with some of the team members. Still here at the doc sprint today, and why don't you introduce yourself, tell us a little bit about your role.
So I'm Stormy Peters. I'm VP of Technical Evangelism at the Cloud Foundry Foundation. So my role is to get people involved in Cloud Foundry, make sure they can learn about it if they want to use it, that they understand what the benefits are.
Excellent. So obviously for our audience's benefit, what is Cloud Foundry for you?
So Cloud Foundry is a way to make it really easy for app developers to run their app in the cloud. So all they have to worry about is writing their app, either an individual developer or an enterprise. And then Cloud Foundry provides all the pieces that they need to run and manage and give it more resources in the cloud. But I kind of like to think of Cloud Foundry as like a computer in the cloud. So it used to be when computers first came out, you made your own computer. You figured out how much RAM you need, you built a monitor, you got the box, you put the fan in, you put the memory, the hard drive. People have been doing that with cloud computing for a while, and that Cloud Foundry offers that to them.
Great. So we're obviously at the Docs Sprint working on Cloud Foundry documentation. What are some of your focus areas for today?
Yeah, so I was really hoping that we'd work on today, which we've made great progress on, is it turns out when people go to use Cloud Foundry, it's a really big piece of software. So most people that use it in the enterprise end up using Pivotal Cloud Foundry or HP Helion or IBM Bluemix. They end up having a provider that gives them the infrastructure. But when they're checking it out, they usually download the open source version themselves and install it and play with it, making sure it does everything they need. And so I wanted that process to be super easy and simple, supported by documentation, so that anyone that's curious about it can really easily download it, deploy their app, and see how it works.
Super. Well, I'm excited, and I echo your sentiments. I think we've made great progress already, and we still have until 5 p.m. So what do you think some of the biggest takeaways will be and next steps for the foundation?
So I think one of the biggest takeaways is we're starting to create a cross-organizational documentation team, which is really awesome. We have people from 4 or 5 different organizations here today working together. So it's truly an open source software project, and anyone can come, the users themselves, the people creating the platform, community members that care, and that's a huge takeaway.
Super. Okay, so see what happens. We're at the Cloud Foundry Docs Sprint in San Francisco. Tell us who you are and what you do.
Sure. I am Jason Kennedy. I am the Customer Success Manager for Blue Box Cloud, which is an IBM company.
Yeah, perfect. So we're obviously supporters of Cloud Foundry. That's why we're here today at the Docs Sprint. So what are your focus areas for the day, or is there anything missing in the documentation that you want to highlight?
Well, what I'm working on specifically is the deployment of Cloud Foundry to various cloud platforms, starting with AWS, moving on to OpenStack, and then if I have time, I'll do Google Cloud as well. The documentation, at least on the AWS side, is old. Some of the screenshots are terrible or non-existent, or that sort of thing. So that's what I'm working on.
Awesome. So that sounds good, and obviously you are part of a one-man team right now.
That's correct.
So we're excited to see what comes out of it. At the end of the day, ending at 5 p.m., but what do you think the takeaway or next steps will be for us as a group?
For the whole team? Mm-hmm. Well, I think that we're going to have a story built, starting off with what is Cloud Foundry, and ending with taking your application from all of the various steps to deploying it to some cloud platform. Starting off with your local machine, after you learn what Cloud Foundry is and how to install it, to deploying to local, to deploying to the cloud. So we should have an end-to-end story complete, I think.
Awesome. Any exciting projects you're working on?
I do onboarding for OpenStack customers, so I think all of that is exciting.
I'm glad you like your job.
I do like my job very much. Yeah, so we are building what I think is the best managed OpenStack. I think managed OpenStack is the way to go. Not to spend too much time pimping Blue Box, but
that's okay. We're all friends here. So I appreciate it. Thank you, Jason. Good job. So we just finished lunch here at the Cloud Foundry Docs Sprint, still working together very collaboratively.
Yep.
Another member of our team. If you wouldn't mind introducing yourself and telling us a little bit about your role.
Sure. So my name is Grant Bowman. I'm here at the Docs Sprint helping out with the Cloud Foundry to improve the documentation for newcomers, people getting started with the technology.
Awesome. So we've broken into groups today. What are some of the focus areas or things that you think are missing with the documentation?
We had a really good meeting this morning talking about the different issues that are most pressing, I guess, for the Cloud Foundry, and so really onboarding and helping new contributors is where I'm happy to focus with some other folks. So it's been a great experience here. There's about a dozen of us, and we are trying to help out this open source project.
Yeah, we'll tackle it, see what happens. So at the end of today,
anything that you are looking for to take away or next steps?
So I've been contributing to open source projects in one way or another for a couple of decades now, and this is one way of my giving back. I work with Safeway, and that's my day job, but I've always been contributing to open source projects. Fedora, Ubuntu, and other places.
Okay, yeah, definitely. Way to give back. Absolutely. And so anything that you yourself are working on, tinkering with, that gets you excited?
Well, the cloud infrastructure, all this software, really is improving, and it's at its formation stages now. It's good enough for production, but it's always getting better. And this is a new, well, it's a relatively old cloud, but it is an excellent cloud to provide an infrastructure for applications to live out their life cycle and to be managed. And so that's why we're here.
Definitely. So we're on the same team today, and we hope to actually define what is Cloud Foundry, and we'll give that definition. So we're excited, and thank you very much.
All right, thank you.
Okay, so we're closing out the Docs Sprint and the meetup we just had. And guys, you were part of the team today. Can you introduce yourselves and tell us a little bit about your current roles?
Sure. Absolutely. My name is Bridget Crumhill, and I'm a principal technologist at Pivotal. And I am on the same team, reporting to Andrew Clay-Schaefer as Casey here.
Yeah. So I'm also a principal technologist, doing a lot of Cloud Foundry advocacy, and I work for Pivotal.
Great. So obviously we're here because we're all supporters of Cloud Foundry. Can you tell us a little bit about what your focus was for the day?
Yeah, so we focused on getting started. So in particular, your first contact with Cloud Foundry, we wanted to try to document the shortest path to success, the shortest path to CF push and scaling an application. And so we spent our day doing that.
And that was a lot of fun because I got to play the role of person new to Cloud Foundry since I've been at Pivotal for a little over a month.
Awesome. Yeah, guinea pigs always necessary. So we did get to see what you guys put together today. Hard work paid off, and I know there's a lot more to do. Can you, just for our audience's benefit, talk a little bit about some of the projects or the apps maybe that you've deployed on Cloud Foundry?
Sure. So my favorite app, so I've deployed a lot of toy applications, and I've worked with the scalability options, but my favorite app is actually a chatbot, which is a Lida chatbot, and Lida is a Ruby application, and I like this app because I actually keep a Slack group for my best friends. And we have a chatbot mostly for a few automations, but the GIFs, we usually do it for very specific GIF searches. What I like in particular is that the deployment is easily automatable with continuous delivery. So I use Travis CI to fully automate pull requests merge to go directly to a deployment. So my favorite part about deploying it to Cloud Foundry instance is that I don't really have to worry about it. It's always running, and if anything happens where an instance or a host might go away, Cloud Foundry fixes that for me, and the chatbot is back. So our chatbot is Gina, and we love Gina, and Gina is always there for us thanks to Cloud Foundry.
Awesome. Interesting. I can tell that as I start deploying things on Cloud Foundry, I'm going to have to put a Gina instance in our work chat.
There you go. I like it.
Yeah, good plan. And hopefully all of the sample apps and the getting started that's going to be incorporated with the Cloud Foundry Docs will lead people on to great things.
Yeah.
So as far as closing out today, what do you think the major takeaways are or next steps for you guys and for our team as a whole?
Yeah, I think since I come from an ops background, I'm really excited about making like the Bosch command line tools and generating the manifests, and in general just making Cloud Foundry seem more approachable to an operations person who might be more familiar with more typical parts of the container orchestration world. I'm starting to realize the kind of power that they can get from Cloud Foundry and from Bosch is it's pretty interesting to me. So just starting to play with that a little bit more was pretty exciting.
Great.
There's an adrenaline rush to getting anything working, and so the work that we did today was to see how short we could make the time frame be between getting started and not really knowing anything about Cloud Foundry to have that sort of dopamine rush from your brain. And
right, as Schaefer puts it, reduce the mean time to dopamine.
Yeah, and we got it down to about 45 minutes because you have to download a lot of things to make Cloud Foundry work. But I hope that from here we can maybe get it down to 20 minutes or 15 minutes, and that would make me feel happy because everyone else would get the opportunity to have that initial experience that's really exciting.
Absolutely. 45 minutes is the length of my 5 a.m. boot camp class, so you can get through anything.
As always, we encourage the audience's questions, comments, your episode ideas, and make sure to tune in next week. We have a really exciting show diving into HP Helium Development Platform 1.3 and doing a demo for you.
And don't forget to look out for these episodes at our YouTube channel and on our Twitter account. It's 2 Protons. You find us there. It's number 2 Protons. Thank you.
Perfect. All right. Thank you all. Have a great day.